We are live. Yes. I get so excited.
Oh my, isn't it funny how that doesn't go away? Like the sort of like nerves almost. And
It
y'all were
is.
matching. Have you noticed? Look at Kiki and look at me. And we didn't even plan this. Like
I'm like,
what's going on?
I know the whole thing. It was meant to be.
Right?
It was meant to be. We have people coming into the room. As always, we wait for them and we greet everybody when we come into the room.
Hi
Yeah,
everybody.
no, I have to share I hit my finger in, it looks
Oh
terrible,
no.
in the
How?
garage door.
Like what? How did your finger get caught? Oh no, that's the most painful thing. Oh, it was in the door jam, like in between the slats coming together.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awful.
I didn't move my hand out fast enough.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm
Oh.
probably gonna lose this nail, but I'm cute everywhere else. So there you know.
That's saying something. That's amazing.
Yes. Hey Greg.
Oh,
Yes.
you're
My
supposed to do
regular.
a really weird thing. I remember once that happened to me, and the doctor told me you're supposed to release the blood. You know how to do it. You're supposed to poke the yeah. You have to
Poke the
heat that.
cuticle.
Yeah, with a well, he told me a paper clip. You can put a paper clip in boiling water, so it's really hot. I think it's what
Uh-huh.
it's like. Hey, and
Uh-uh.
just poke your nails to release it when it's hurting because you don't want it to get too black and dark.
Yeah. I wish I would have called you before that. I know. I know my. I know. Thank you. Hey, Liz.
Hey.
Liz, representing for all the singers. Go for it. Well, I figured I'd give y'all a little
The hair is amazing. True.
straight hair today. This is my
Gorgeous.
summer.
I bet it's hot up there too. It's hot down here in Texas. Is it hot
90,
already?
yeah, 90.
What?
Yeah, 90 plus. It's the same. The humidity and everything is ridiculous. Yeah. How, Paula? How are you?
Hi.
Yes. Yeah. 90 something degrees. Ridiculous. Absolutely. Like it's summer is like, bitch, I'm here.
It's so true.
Yes.
True.
Yes. Thank you. Well, it's good to see everybody this evening as people come into the room. Hi, Ruth. How are you?
Oh,
Yes. Good evening. And we are, let's see, this is the second week of June.
that's right.
Can you believe it?
I know. And I know. Isn't that true?
June, yeah,
I know.
June 2021.
It's crazy.
Crazy. And people are announcing seasons and people are going to the beach and the market without masks and the whole thing.
Yes.
And
I'm about to do a show in New York, and before this, I had to do a talk about the COVID protocols, and they were basically, I mean, much more strict than where I live. I mean, it's weird because where I live, they're starting to remove the mask mandate. They say if you're vaccinated, of course, it's that whole thing of like, how do you know who's vaccinated?
Mhm.
But I'm going into a university environment where you better have a mask on almost all the time. And it's so interesting because it's still that weird transition, right? Where we're still like, well, what's happening? And as I was listening to them talk, because this is New York State, I thought, is this the way opera's going to be like for the next 6 months, where we're kind of like, okay, we can do this, but we can't do that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think so. You want to share it to your page? You want to share it?
Oh yes,
Yeah. Go for it.
thank you.
Yeah.
I go to your page and then go to share, right?
Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. Is your page public?
It is public.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Sasha Cooke one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you probably know more technical stuff than I do. Facebook, for some reason, just like I don't know, I'm a little bit more drawn to Instagram.
Yeah, you are the queen of Instagram. Come on.
I don't know about that. Oh, I see. There we are live. Look at that.
Yes. Thank you, Happy. Thank you. Hey, Marsha, Diva, how are you? Hey, Patrick. Good evening. Jared, hey. Well, I listen, I have to say, Sasha and I have been going back and forth for what? A month and a half
That's right.
about this Kiki conversations. Either I had something, she's been like going in and out all over the place, San Francisco and here and there, singing and doing her thing. And then I was like hiatus for a couple of weeks in MIA. And so anyway, what an honor for me to have you on this platform. She invited me onto her Sasha Sesh quite a few months ago now. And it's just an honor. I have been a fan of your singing, of your artistry. And now we don't know each other
I know
personally well, because I think we just missed each other.
Yeah.
In this crazy business, but I've heard your name, and I have to say you are one of the singers that so many singers speak so highly of and respect you, not just for your artistry and your beautiful voice, but the humanity the human that you are. And to me, that is even more than saying someone has a beautiful voice. So I welcome you.
Oh my gosh, it's so honored. Are you kidding? I'm the honored one here. Please. Thank you so much, Karen. Those are the sweetest words.
Yes.
It's funny because I was thinking about, like, I feel like I do know you, although you're right. Like, I'm like, I want to like create a memory that we were hanging out because I feel like it happened. And actually, that's a nice thing about the pandemic, in a way that doesn't mean connections aren't happening and possibilities aren't happening. Like, we met this way through this time. And I feel like we have stuff in common. Like, I feel like some of the things you've done, I've been doing, and what you care about, I care about. And you're also, it's interesting to kind of do this talk with you because I feel like you're such an awesome listener. I feel like you're a great conversationalist.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I agree with same to you. Now I gotta read your bio, honey. A little bit. Gotta big you up,
I got my line.
Okay, all right. Two-time Grammy Award-winning mezzo-soprano Sasha Cooke has been called a luminous standout by the New York Times, and equal parts poise, radiance, and elegant directness by the Opera News. She is sought after by the world's leading orchestras, opera companies, and chamber music ensembles for her versatile repertoire. Miss Cooke has sung at the Metropolitan Opera, San Francisco Opera, English National Opera, Seattle Opera, Opera Bordeaux, Opera Liceo in Barcelona, among others, and with over 70 symphony orchestras worldwide. Her recordings can be found on Hyperion, BIS, Chandos, Naxos. I mean, all of the places. Okay, honey. Most recently, she appears on 5 recordings, including L'Enfant du Christ with Sir Andrew Davis and the Melbourne Symphony on Chandos. Wow, you have to talk about Revolution of Steve Jobs on Pentatime, which won a 2019 Grammy Award for Best Opera Recording. Woo! We gotta listen. We have to talk about the Grammys this year too.
Right.
As well. Yes. A graduate of Rice University and the Juilliard School, Sasha Cooke also attended the Music Academy of the West, the Juilliard, did I say the Juilliard School, the Aspen Music Festival, the Ravinia Festival Steens Music Institute, the Wolf Trap Foundation, Marlborough Music Festival, and a graduate of the Metropolitan Opera Lindemann Young Artist Development Program, and Seattle Opera Central City. I get so excited when I'm talking about other people. It's so crazy. Central City Opera's Young Artist Training Programs. Miss Cooke has given masterclasses throughout the United States and Canada. She lives near Houston, Texas with her daughters, Evelyn and Julia, and husband, baritone Kelly Marker. Please, everyone, give a warm conversations. You know how we do it around here. Change it to Sasha Cooke. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the
You got some white. I was like, I almost got white because I was like, Kiki's gonna get white.
I was gonna get white, but this is Pinot Gris.
Oh, it's Pinot Grigio?
It's a Gris, Pinot Gris, Gris. And it was from my friend, Joe Williams, who's a fantastic pianist in Tacoma, Washington. And he gave that to me as a gift, and I opened it up for the Dom today. So.
It's so great to be here.
So great to have you. Okay, Sasha, tell us all about how you got into this business. But first tell us where you're from and how and all the good things and growing up.
I was born in California, and moved to Texas when my parents got jobs at Texas A&M University. They're both Russian professors. Hi, guys. And so most of my memories are from Texas, but then we went to California in all the summers. So California was always like a second home. Started with piano and then a little bit of viola, got into viola and orchestra, and then choir, and then choir competition, and then solo voice kind of came a little late, which I'm glad in a way, because I was never really competitive with voice. It was always like, oh, I just love voice, and then someone's like, oh, you should try to get into Rice University. I was like, oh, I won't get into Rice, and they're like, no, you should try, and that kind of feeling has happened so many times where I've gone somewhere and I don't think it's going to happen, and it happens. So it's been like, I would say singing sort of happened to me. Like it felt like the red carpet rolled out. Almost everywhere I went, it was like door open, door open, door open. I was like, oh, really? Me? Like chubby little me? Like I was a very shy girl. I was, picked on. And I remember in choir, I wouldn't even sing C above middle C because I felt like my voice started to stick out in the choir. Like I could hear myself. So I was like, oh, good. I was just shy. So I never, like the idea of doing opera, where you're out there, which I have to say, in a way, was a perfect fit because music was this safe space for me. It was always this space that no one could really hurt. It was just me and the instrument, me and my thoughts. And actually, even my choir competitions, when I got into Rice, which was a wonderful joy, and my parents came to hear me at some point in the lesson, and they were like, where have you been hiding this voice? And I really was hiding it. I was like in my room studying, doing my thing. So I feel like I would like to think I'm an example of someone who, got lucky. And if you are a kind person and you prepare and you are nice to work with and you do your homework and you keep trying, doors open. That's been my experience. Of course, I'm also like gifted with the instrument God gave me and opportunity. Like that doesn't happen for everybody. So I feel very lucky with what came my way. Was that a good? I don't know.
No, that was great. No, everybody does their own thing on the show. Hey, Kenny.
Hey, Kenny. Aw.
Kenny and I went to high school together in Philadelphia.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we went to the same high school. We're trained under the same voice teacher in high school who introduced us to opera.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh, it's so nice to be here.
Yes. Yeah. Yay, Rice.
Yay, Rice. I don't know how I would have done in a big school. Like I was lucky to get into a small school, and Juilliard and the Met, same thing. It was nice to be in an environment where I could actually get attention. And Rice was close to home, so I could still see my family. I'm the oldest of three, so I didn't want to go too far. But when I had my entrance form or whatever, I put engineer. Like I did not think music was going to keep me. I thought they were going to kick me out. I was like, I'm sure not. Like I'm like they're going to hear me and they're going to be like, how did she get in? How did she get in? So that's been like my pattern. And like when at Music Academy, I was accompanying a best friend. She was like, do you want to go to this audition in Santa Barbara? I was like, yeah, sure. I won't get in. And then Marilyn Horne was like, can you come sing again? And I was just like, me? And I still remember when I got that phone call from Music Academy. I was just like, what? Me? Wow. So, I'm sure you feel like this too. Like, it's just, it's a great joy and it's a roller coaster. And, I have a really supportive family. They love music. I grew up hearing opera in the house. I went to my first operas when I was 5 years old. Went to Austin and Houston, and my dad, like I would fall asleep to music. My dad, really my dad, but they're obsessed with classical music. So I could be like, Dad, I need Schnittke third string quartet for music history. Can you send me that? Like these are my parents. They're Right. That was lucky because they will be like, oh, what are you singing and where? And we'll come. Not everybody has those parents that go out of their way,
Yeah, my dad is like totally into this whole life and totally like he's a peacock and a social butterfly. So he totally support. He supports my friends when I'm like on the road and somebody comes and sings in Philly. He like shows up and expects me to like tell him everybody's schedule, and like he's very, yeah, he's very, he's a very supportive. Yeah, he's all about this life. And I'm like, I don't, I'm not, I mean, I'm a social butterfly, but the parties and all the stuff and, telling everybody I sing opera when I'm in the market, like that's, no, like I'm not about that.
I know, me too. I'm not. I love the anonymity of certain places, like going to the gym and no one knows what you do. Like, I want to keep that. I was like, I just want to be a human being, Although
Yeah.
people like break out sometimes in song, like in the middle of something, and you're like, like in the middle of, I don't know, waiting for the little line or something.
Yes, Kenny, my dad is the bomb. Yes, he is the bomb. He's so supportive. I wanted to, so you play the piano and we all can hear that on your Instagram page, but speak about the transition, like, well, the transition from playing the piano into like full on taking your singing lessons and like how you feel that benefits you. No, you don't talk about that part.
It's true. People don't talk about that. I mean, my piano teacher at the time was very sad when I decided to go into voice, and she, I think, was hoping I would not necessarily pursue piano. But I remember the day that I told her I was going to try out for voice. She's like, "Oh," I think it just surprised her that was my path. It's been hugely helpful. I mean, it's funny. I was teaching a girl today in a lesson, and she was talking about that. She's like, "Man, I wish I had taken piano lessons. I really believe some of the artists that I love the most are also pianists." And I think, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's true, because I can think of a lot of singers I love who are also pianists. But it's helped me just like when I think of contemporary music, like how much contemporary music I do. And even like the role I'm learning now, I'm having to learn this very big role a little bit in a hurry because, people are putting things together more in a rush. And I only learned about this a couple months ago. I can play a lot. So I can find my harmonies, find where the line of the character is, and figure out the architecture of the piece. So when I get into the rehearsal, I kind of know, oh, what are the violas doing? I already know kind of what they're doing. So I think that's a huge asset, and especially for a concert singer, because in opera, you have a little more time to get in your groove. You've got, and you've got maybe some coachings and stagings and maybe some, it's a little more loose. In concert, it's like go from the minute you arrive. It's like you arrive, you better be ready to sing.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? So I kind of love that I can figure out everything on my own. And yeah, I mean, I should work with a coach more often. And frankly, I have to tell myself, I'm like, Sasha, you have to have a pianist come so you stand up, because I'll just be singing,
Yeah.
It's not good for the singing. So I have to and I there are a couple pianist singers that I admire. I kind of watch the way they play and sing, because I just have to remember to sit up straight, sing and also support. Like you don't sing the same when you're sitting over.
No,
I mean, you can, but you have to really think about it.
Right. Absolutely. I always get, because I'm so emotive, I always do a lot of this. And it's like, well, your chest is sunken in, like your diaphragm is crushed, like all of these things. And so it's like, lift the girls up and out,
I swear, my teacher says tits out. Like, it's so true. Like, I often think of Jessie Norman because I feel like she had her shoulders really back. Like, I think she just had really great posture. I don't know.
Always. Like the whole thing was coming out that way.
Yes. I love people who own their space.
Yeah.
And
I want to talk about that too, because that goes along with the issue of body image, right? But we'll get to that part, because you are very, very open and loves to have that conversation, to put it on the table. But talk to me about, you get the phone call from Marilyn Horne. Oh my God, legend, mezzo-soprano at that, right? Legendary. And you are at this you get the chance to go to Music Academy, another legendary, historic place that has trained some of our greatest artists, not just in voice, and things. So please talk about that as a young artist, what that was like to get the call.
It changed my life. It really did. I mean, I feel grateful for every program I ever did, but that one was one of the most defining ones. I was 18. I was the youngest singer they took. The average age of the singer was 26. So I'm surrounded by master's students. I'm surrounded by artist diploma. I'm surrounded by people who speak multiple languages and have, like, figured out the art of Poulenc. Like, it was just oh, this is the world of singing. Like, this is how hard you have to work. Okay. Okay. It just, my mind was blown. I remember right after Warren Jones came up to me and he was like, "Oh, well, I want you to learn Mein Gedanken." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You know the Strauss song, so I can just learn these Strauss for me." I was like, "Okay, I don't know what you just said, but and when I got the phone call, I was in the parking lot at Rice and I just about fell over. I remember I was just like, it's just, I feel very lucky. I did an Elgar Sea Pictures song for her, and I think I did Russian. And little did I know that she would notice me. Because, of course, Marilyn Horne is one of these people that always chooses a couple, like, young ones. She always sort of chooses some Wunderkind, to sort of nurture. And um, my lessons with her at Music Academy, I was like sweating. Like, I remember I would be just like, because she would just make me work hard. And I'm this, 18-year-old who doesn't really know her body yet. And, I'm just like, Marilyn Horne is here, Marilyn Horne is here. But I mean, she's had a very profound impression on me. Also, as a mentor, as a kind of maternal presence, she cares about her singers and her students and anyone whose lives she's touched, she cares about. So I still write Marilyn Horne, and she's still a hoot and a half. And I feel very lucky that she touched my life.
Yes, that's amazing. And we of course a lot of singers who have had the same experience as you say the very same things about Miss Horn, about how she touched their lives. And we put these icons, she's an icon in our industry, as these untouchable, figures, but then the ones who are like who are icons, they notice you, they see you, they pour into you, and it even means so much. So then they become like iconic, in that way in our eyes. I mean, and I totally understand. I feel that way about Evelyn Lear, who every time she would reach out, Karen, I'm going to give you this. Karen, I'm going to do this. If I was in a competition, she'd be like, she's going to get a prize, because of the repertoire that I sang, that I always excelled in, the Strauss and the German and all those kind of things. She really believed in me in that way. So I always have Cap Montserrat is another one, it was just, these women who are just, so I totally understand.
And we're gonna do the same thing. I mean, I love that legacy that's passed down of loving on the next. Out of the blue, I can't remember if I told you this when we had our talk, but Flicka called me during the summer last summer. I know, out of the blue, just to say, "You're awesome. I love your singing. You're so important." Essentially saying, "How are you? I care about you." And I was just like, Flicka, that was the greatest gift right now. And the way I remember thinking about it was just to be remembered right now, to be remembered. Because so many of us soloists, we felt like the last priority. We felt like, just go hide. It's like, I'm sorry, that's canceled. Goodbye. I'm sorry, that's canceled. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And it's just like you had to soak it up and be like, oh, okay, I'll wait till I get hired the next time. I hope I get that thing or what. And so for someone to say, hey, you matter, I didn't forget you. Grace Bumbry, I once emailed because I can't remember if I told you this either. I had a strange situation where I was sort of attacked for doing a Copeland song, and I wrote Grace, and I was like, "Do you think this has any racism in it?" This is from Shingering Shaw. And she wrote back, she's like, because she had premiered this song with orchestra. She's like, completely disregard that. Just make sure that when you put it in your programs, don't put minstrel song, put, Chingering Shaw. And she's like, I love that song, completely disregard them. And like, I have an email from Grace Bummer. So it's like, I love her. She's one of my favorites too. And Susan Graham has been very good to me. She like spotted me and she was like, you see that girl? You need to hear her.
Yes.
Sure enough, that conductor hired me for stuff because of Susan Graham saying backstage, "You need to hire her."
Mm.
I mean, I think it's just the most amazing thing the singers do for each other.
Yes, we don't hear that, we don't hear that enough. But also, it is a part. Again, it is a part of what we hope everyone would do, but that people do. And again, like, they know because they've done it, and
Right.
they can say hire
Mhm.
her or him because I know because I did it.
Right.
Yeah, but that's beautiful. I did not know that about I heard about Miss Bunbury, and of course, well, that's great to hear about Susan Graham. But I know that she does a lot for younger
Mhm.
singers. Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
thanks, Marsha.
we try. We do our best. So as we're talking about these influences and inspirations, yeah. Who were some of your inspirations and influences in your singing? I know you mentioned Miss Norman so clearly, and your repertoire that you sing,
Yes.
she like mastered.
Isn't that true? There's no one like her, I mean, really. She's probably my number one
Mhm,
because she loved new music too.
mhm,
She kind of crossed the Fox. She did whatever she wanted essentially. She debuted at the Met very late. She um, loves Baroque. She I don't know. I mean, Janet Baker is a close second
mhm,
because she also, I mean, I just love when I think of interpretation and voice, I always think of Miss Norman because
mhm.
and Berlioz, Mahler, I mean, no
Yeah.
one does it like her. Janet Baker, I sort of like for different composers and just as much awe,
Mhm,
for her.
mhm.
P.S. I have to show you later. She sent me a letter, Janet Baker. I have a letter on my wall from Janet Baker. I actually almost fell out of my chair. I almost fell out of my chair when I got it. I've never cried before a letter before,
Mhm.
never. But because we were supposed to meet in London, and so I wrote a note saying sorry I didn't get to meet, and I sent her a CD, and she wrote me the nicest letter.
Wow.
Um, so Krista Ludwig, yeah.
Yes.
And actually the first recording, so my two favorite singers on recording, so before I became a singer, like
Mhm.
before I got into classical music, Cecilia Bartoli and Marian Anderson, because I just happened upon them. I think I was just in the shop and I'm like, oh, who are these mezzos? What are mezzos?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And I still have those. I still have those recordings. So those four, Grace Bunbury up there too, because she did some soprano-ish things,
Mhm.
very mezzo things, and she loves song. Lots of Brahms, lots
Yes.
of Schubert and Schumann, and
Yeah.
she's just such an intelligent musician. I mean, I think Brigitte Fassbender too, because she,
Oh, yes.
yeah, it's just like I like I have a Carabino coming up, and I like when you hear about these fuller voice women like
Mhm.
her who did Carabino,
Yeah. Mhm.
and
Of
so
course.
you know,
I do. I do. Like, yeah, it's we love the lighter, higher voices, but it would be, I think as a countess, I'd be like, ooh. I mean, I know it's not, the Octavian, but Sularia. No, no,
it's true. It's true though. Like there's something sort of seductive in a
Mhm.
voice too. Nothing wrong with a warm voice.
Not at all, not at all. And Ludwig was one of those. I too am like that tri I guess trifecta kind of singer where opera is, I love opera, of course, but my passion, I love concert and recital, and I was trained in that, and I feel my most comfortable in that repertoire. So when I would hear Ludwig, and I would see her, and to sing soprano roles, and I mean to do all of the women in Rosenkavalier, and and Ariadne of Naxos, and like, oh, that. So this respect and this admiration that I have for women, and particularly in that time, that era of
Yes,
singing.
yes.
They sang everything.
Isn't that so true? I mean, we sort of miss that. I have to say that is one of the things about the golden age of singing that we really lack. And it's partially the culture, it's moving so fast. They want to put you in a box and, just have you figured out, but it's true. Like I'm doing something now that's really soprano-ish, like really a lot of sopranos have sung. And then the other day, someone asked me about a contralto role, and I'm like, why am I so confusing? Like, I don't think, but in a way, it's also, my voice teacher said this to me. It's like, well, that's the way it used to be. I mean, you could sing that and then not the other day. It didn't mean anything. It wasn't against you. Actually, it was an asset, to be
Yes.
versatile.
Absolutely, because that means that they can put you anywhere and you would excel, or whatever that was. Maybe the first time you didn't excel, the second time, whatever the case may be. But we're trained to do everything, and then you get out in the world, and they're like, "Nope."
I know, isn't that true? It's so true.
Like, can we stop doing that after the pandemic, please? Thank you.
Well, that's how we need more people like you in admin, which is lucky,
Yeah, because I mean, right, and people listening to singers, and they hear certain roles and certain things and certain sounds, and they go, maybe this singer will want to do this role, or to even just to ask.
Yes, I know. What's wrong with asking?
The simple ask and say, "Hey, is there something that's on your spirit, something in your mind, on your soul, or maybe your voice? What's your voice doing now? Maybe it's you think you might wanna."
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me take a drink on that.
It's like a fear there or something. It's like, yeah, I think there's a lot of fear, unnecessary, I remember you and I talking about the producer aspect of what we've been doing, because that, I think, too, was a little bit of a growing pain. It's like, well, wait a second, I'm supposed to sing. I'm a singer. I'm supposed to stay in my lane. I can write this organization and say, hey, what do you think of this? Let's work together. Like this is happening. I feel like the change is coming in that way. We're getting more collaborative and more open. And
yes, absolutely. I did a talk for Opera America panel. It was like one of the first or second panels for Opera America for conference, and it was really about opera and the change agents and all those artists who have like stepped into this time and done things like what we've done, and producing things. And I was saying that the companies had no choice. They had no choice because there was so much innovation and creativity happening on social media. If you weren't paying attention, shame on you. But artists were really taking command in conversations, command in the work that they were putting out, producing and all of those things. And so the companies had to pay attention and lean in, and then support some artists through what they were doing, like TDO Network, Dallas, doing all those shows, and they had to do it. They had no choice.
Yeah, it's true. They had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Some did it better than others, for sure.
True. True. Exactly. Yes. I've got some people. Afton.
Afton Battle. Oh, speaking of amazing admin, shout out to Afton.
Yes.
We actually go way back because we've been in Texas a long time. And I can't remember where we first crossed paths, but I know it was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Right. Thank you, Greg. Hi, Chabrel. Yes. And another Texas.
Latanya, I know. Latanya, you're moving? Is that true?
She's over here now. She's over here now. Because Philly is the place to be. So
I'll come over there.
Come on, girl. Come on. Bring the kids, No, but Texas is such, I was talking to Adana Beth Miller, she's one of my good friends for many years. And I was like, what is it in Texas? Like, it's just singer after singer after singer after singer. Powerhouses. So I don't know what is going on down there, But okay, so talk about, you get the Juilliard, right? Okay, one of the most prominent, if not most, well-known conservatories of music in the world, and you come from Rice, which is a great school, right? And it's so I talk a little bit because I think that we don't speak enough to younger singers about our journey in schools, particularly the people who come from large institutions, and what that life is really like.
Well, I just remember Juilliard was nonstop. Juilliard, I would get there, 7 in the morning, leave at 11:30 p.m. Same thing the next day. And I remember at Rice, it was like, do you want to get a coffee before choir? Okay. And it was sort of just like hang out, get ready for your vocal lesson, and like warm up. At Juilliard, it was like, you better be warmed up in the train because you've got a coaching after coaching after coaching after coaching. And I was talking to Isabel Leonard about this the other day because when she and I were there and we were the same years for masters, it was a little bit feast or famine. So there were those singers that got a ton, and then there were others, which I think I can speak publicly about because those that were there, we this was discussed. Like I was lucky in that when I got there, they thought, okay, well you're ready, so we're going to put you in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot. I remember when I graduated, my teacher said to me, he's like, well, you learned a lot of things, but we didn't work on voice very much. And that's sort of true. I mean, I learned a great amount from him. So Steve Smith, and I worked with him for years after that. But I love Steve. I was just very busy. So that's what I would say about Juilliard. It was good for me because it prepared me to not be precious. It prepared my stamina. I mean, Juilliard is a place where you have like 20 coaches. So you could be like, oh, I have this, foray late, blah, blah, blah. Who's a specialist? And there's someone. Oh, I have this Baroque French, and there's someone. So that's Juilliard. You are spoiled. You are so spoiled with amazing people all around you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pinching myself the whole time. I mean, I felt, speaking of getting the phone call from Maryland, and I remember when the mail truck came in Rice, and I was driving, and my car, I almost ran over the grass. I remember because I saw the mail truck, and I actually saw the package. I saw a big envelope, and I remember going like, oh, is that Juilliard? And I ran to the mailman, and he pulled out the envelope, and I opened it, and I was just like, it's a big envelope! I was Juilliard! And so that, like, it was just, so you can kind of see, like, this recurring theme in my story. It's everywhere it was like, I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get this. Oh, I got this? Like, what? And the Met program was the same thing. I never thought I would get into the Met. I remember when I did my audition, I thought, oh, I won't get in. I'll just sing for them. They'll never take me. And got a call. And I was at Juilliard doing my finals. I looked down in my purse and my phone's vibrating. And I know the number looks like the Met. So I picked it up. And they're like, we want you to come sing for James Levine. Like, I ran down the hall of Juilliard. I was like, I cannot believe it. And so, I mean, but Juilliard was amazing. I only have nice things to say other than what I said, which is that some of my colleagues should have gotten more attention.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that that's one of the aspects of being at a conservatory. And that's why I may say to a young singer, maybe Juilliard isn't the place I would recommend for undergrad. That's what I would say. I'm sure there are many undergrads who've had a good experience, but you are in the spotlight of New York. You are in the spotlight of the New York Times. You have all kinds of people coming to hear you. So you do have to be ready. There's that pressure. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the pressure, but I have colleagues that didn't get to grow in the same way and didn't get to shine. And so that, if I'm being really honest, that's what I would say about career.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're honest because I think that our generation has to be. We cannot sell the dream of the dream that many of us were sold. And it's not to say that things won't happen. It's not to say, but we have to be realistic when we're pouring into the next generation and say, even if you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and you sing every audition perfect and you nail all 5 of your arias and you learn all the languages, you do all the things and you lose all the weight and you do it be as glamorous as you can, it's still no guarantee. And you've got to be okay with that because it is the work. It is the education. It is the sharing your gift and by any means necessary. That is the most important, and not opera news cover, and not do it your gramophone, and not recording concerts, and not I was trained as a racehorse. Like if you didn't make it to Carnegie Hall and the Metropolitan Opera and all these places, it's like you didn't have a career. You could have been making money, but people discard that, and that's just not true. It is our responsibility to teach differently.
Kiki, I'm so glad you said that. I feel like that's not talked about enough. It really is not said because it's so true. And I watch it in my relationship because my husband went to all the great schools. He has a gorgeous instrument, beautiful person, beautiful actor. That doesn't mean anything, frankly. And you can get multiple degrees, have all the connections, important conductors hear you. That still does not guarantee anything, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And there are other professions. Now, I can't speak for other professions, but I imagine that if you fill your resume and you do all the things, that you should have a career. Music is very different because there is this aspect of it's like rolling of the dice. I mean, I was talking to a really beautiful mezzo-soprano the other day who's at Santa Fe right now in the Young Artist Program. And she's a gorgeous singer. And I was just like, well, you're fabulous. And I just would love to be honest with you. Because I think, if anything, you can add a little bit of edge. Because, and I say this as someone who relates to you, because I think I sometimes come across as the nice American girl. Like, what do you do? And that's great for some things and not for others. And she was kind of playing it safe. That's how I felt about her interpretation or singing. And I was like, feel free to just be yourself. And the choices you make, like, go all the way. Because when I look at the people who have careers, like when I look at my friends who have careers, something happens on stage with them. They come alive. They have a magic. They're like a stage creature. And then I can think of countless amazing voices who don't have huge careers. And I can't help but think there's something there, that there's this abandon, that there's this freedom that certain people have that you can't, it's not that you can't train it, but there's a certain element I think that might be innate,
I agree. I agree. And and then sometimes it happens later. And sometimes if you stick it out just a little bit longer, if you do, but again, it all is about luck, and many of us have been, on this particular call, have been in the trenches a very, very long time, and have carved our way, and the career, whatever that is, for whomever the people at the top get to say, like, what is actually the career. It comes back around sometime and it hits you twice. Again, some people get that thing where they just get it, they just consistently have the 20-year, 30, and again, no one even has 30-year careers like they used to, 40 years, or whatever, but wow, we could go so many directions with this conversation, but I always love when my peers come on this platform and we can speak, because not only do artists coming behind us get the education, but people before us and who are still in these positions of power get the education from our side.
I love that, and I love that you're making it possible. You're having the conversations. I mean, when I was going into the Met program, there was this wonderful coach. You probably know Denise Massé.
Yes.
Who was on the faculty, staff of both. And she said to me in her fabulous French Massé way, don't become one of those, Met young artists who thinks the Met is everything. And I was like, oh, Denise, no, I won't. She's like, this is just one of the many houses in the world. This is not the center of art. Frankly, a lot of great art is happening in all the places you'd least expect. And she's right. And, there's been a lot, the Met has been in the news a lot lately, and there's been a lot of hubbub there about stuff. I'm sorry, but, guys, if you're making art, if you are singing in your community, if you are singing in your church, if you are singing to your kids, you are singing. You are a singer. You are sharing your art. You are a beautiful human. Being at the Met does not make you a singer. Singing there 20 times does not make you a better singer.
Are they paying you to sing? Are you cashing a check off of your chords? Are you making a living? Okay, period. Next question. Before we get into some of the more personal, like your family and the body confidence issue, all those things, I would like to for you to talk to some of the people that watch combos that are not singers, that are fans of singers, that are our supporters and our patrons, and people who follow us in our career, and they see the things that we're doing. I mean, I would love for you just to speak to them for a moment, because in these conversations here, we are singers talking to each other, but I feel like we should say what we'd like to say to those people
Oh gosh, on any subject?
on anything. I mean, sometime when I have my regulars on here, like Martin and Jim Leberthal and Greg and those people who would like love on us, and this time, and just so when we speak about the career, they are hearing all of it from the other side, the perspective.
Yes. Well, first I'd say thank you for loving on us because we really don't exist without you. And I think some things can exist in isolation. Like if I'm a painter, I can make my painting, and it does exist, even if it's not paid thousands of dollars. It's a painting. We don't exist without you. Like if we don't have an audience that loves us and that really wants us, and really that moment of performance, that energy that happens in the room is a two-way street. That's why this whole environment of performing online has felt so strange. It's nice to have an audience and to know that people are there. It's not the same. It's just not the same energy as sharing it in the moment where you feel the people in the room. I've been thinking a lot about that idea of being a human and the idea of being a spiritual being having a human experience. Like when we come into a hall together, our spirits are speaking to each other. Our spirits are with one another because we're all part of one piece. I mean, you've talked about this, Kiki. I remember you saying this, like you're friends with everybody. You love everyone. Like it's the whole idea of togetherness, which how else do we experience it? When we're walking on the street in New York and we're in our phone and we go to our desk and we're on a computer. Like how is that togetherness? Like there's something about being in a room together. So I would say to those that are not singers, thank you for supporting us. And then I think a lot of people don't realize a lot about our lives. Like I think most people who love singers imagine, I assume, a much more glitzy, fabulous lifestyle that we actually live. Like it's mostly very not glamorous. Mostly we're, trucking luggage, planes delayed, Airbnb is in a shitty place. Rehearsal, we got lost, don't know where it is. I don't speak the language of the country, and you're fired. It's just like this is not. this is not, And I remember there was a really famous soprano who was singing at the Met when I was doing Dr. Atomic there, and the lovely Susie backstage said to me, she's like, stay like you are, because this soprano the other night, the curtain came down and she fell in a heap of tears. And she turned to me and she said, I have no one to share this with. I have no one to share this with. I don't think people realize that because, and I think this in concert, and I wonder, Kiki, if you feel this way, but in concert work, sometimes I do feel lonely because you get off the plane, car picks you up, or you get a taxi, you go to your hotel, you go to your rehearsal, you go to the stage, you sing to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, you go back to your room, you go back to the hotel, you go back to the plane. Basically, almost no one is really connected with you or said, how are you? You doing all right? Like it's more like, you're going to do the job. Thank you very much. Lovely. And people are lovely, but it's not the same as people who really love you and care about you and know you. Like I always like think of this. Like someone's asked me, what would you do if you weren't a singer? And one of the things I've said is to be a secretary because I fantasize about the idea of seeing the same people, making cookies for the office, being organized, having a structure to the day, like bringing my lunch to work. Those all sound like luxuries. These ideas of patterns. We don't have patterns. Things are constantly changing, and it's like new schedule, new city. I always say new north, south, east, or west. Where am I getting food? Where am I getting transportation? Where am I getting my housing? This happens all the time. So we're just which is like what you have, Rob. We have like people that keep us centered, people that hold us, that care about us, like make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, and it makes a difference in the world when you go walk out on stage and you have all that with you. to support you. Listen, I was just in Omaha doing my chanson, and I have to say, I was doing the chanson, the poems of love and the sea for the first time, and I told Sasha, I was like, you're first of all, she's our queen is singing that piece in our generation, and I was like, can you give me tips on how to sing this damn piece, But and she was so gracious, But in Omaha, the executive director, president of the orchestra, walked me back to the hotel after the rehearsal, and I was just like, I was all like, and I didn't know her. It was my first time singing for the symphony, but she was, she was so wonderful and so supportive in what I was, doing. And she walked me and we're talking, and I'm like, it's not weird. It was weird, but it was like, sometimes we're not even used to that kind of the hierarchy.
Yes.
Supporting in a way to even walk me back to the hotel and just to have a conversation with me as if I'm.
I love that.
Jennifer, I think Baumgarten is Jennifer's last name, but she was amazing.
How was it?
Oh, girl, listen, okay. It's low, and I was like,
Which key did you do? Did you do F or G?
I did G.
Okay.
I had to do, come on. But I was like, okay, I got to get my, and I don't sing a lot of French. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, I really don't sing enough French, But I said I need another go at it because I had the mask. I had to wear the mask.
You're kidding. Really? Oh my gosh. How did you do that?
I needed that check, girl. I did it. The recording
was hard.
Bad. It was hard. It didn't turn out bad at all. It was actually quite beautiful. There was a difference between the first night and the second night, of course. But yeah, of course.
Of course. Actually, the last orchestra I did it with was Philly.
Yeah. And
Yannick was supposed to conduct, and then he had a crisis with his husband right before, so I didn't get to do it with Yannick. Oh. But I love that piece. You're right. I guess it is low. I never think about that. Chausson is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing his only opera called King Arthur, and it's. Mm-hmm. I can see why both mezzos and sopranos are asked to do it. Get that check.
Listen, I wasn't going back down because I worked too hard on that damn piece because it's so many words, and it's like it's work. Yeah, but when they have those big swell of sound and the orchestra, you're just like, oh my God, you want to cry because and this was my first performance back after this with orchestra with pandemic, and I was like, this is just so much, and I'm singing with a mask,
I just don't know how you breathe. Like, to me, I can do it maybe a little bit when I have to, but it's just weird because the mask, like, how do you keep it from sucking into your mouth while you were singing?
I know. Well, I didn't like the singer mask. It was the NK95 mask because it has the cone, and that was the one that worked for me. But I said I'm not singing the mask anymore. You can forget. I can't do it.
I know.
My throat was like. My chords were like. They were not pleased.
Oh my gosh.
They hated me. And it was low. And it was a new piece. And there was like so many words. And the orchestra was spread out because, of COVID. Yeah. It was
but they did it. They did it.
They did it. Sometimes they get like
of course they do. Like almost every day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right now, I'm like trying to figure out how to be natural. My chords are like, what's happening? We haven't had enough coffee for this. Oh.
You're getting some love in this room, honey.
Oh.
Yes. What Ben said, give it up to Kelly. Yes. Aww. Yes. And Chabrel, I know you were back in Philly, so we have to connect. David and Eve. Hi, Evie.
Evie, what's going on?
Yes, the mezzo.
She's another one who's been doing so much amazing stuff. God.
She's the queen. Listen, Eve and I go back. We've known each other since we were 19. So
what? Where? From school? Or
from Chautauqua, from Curtis.
No way. See, she's someone like also like you. I'm just like I still remember the sound of the voice. Mm-hmm. Like. She's like Eve. I mean, I'm serious.
She's everything.
Alvin Crawford. Oh, we
You
go way
still
back.
have an invitation to come on this show, Alvin. I got to get my ass
Alvin,
together.
I would love to watch Alvin in the show.
Oh yeah.
Alvin is so lovely. Oh,
Yes.
I
Hey,
adore him.
Denise, how are
Oh my
you?
gosh. Hey, Tilly's.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. So I want you to talk about, oh God, we got so many things to talk about, but I want you to talk about your family because I think that it's important. You know, that's the first thing our young artists ask. Look, I didn't have any, my husband and I don't have any children. We are fur parents. And I'm very proud. As everyone knows, I'm like the cat lady. So I would have six cats, but my husband's like, ma'am, cut it out. Cut it out. I guess I go away, right? So,
yes.
but I'd love for you to talk about your husband, how you guys met, because he is also a singer, and then just talk about life as a
Aw.
accomplished, established singer and having a beautiful family.
Oh, see, Kiki, I love you ask these questions. No one else knows about this stuff.
That's why we're Kiki Combos, baby.
Cheers. I
Cheers.
fine. I yeah, they're my greatest gifts. So I never imagined I would be married. You know, I told you I was that kid who was kind of picked on, and the guys I dated a little. I mean, I didn't date a lot, but like because I really was like that shy girl. I just had this like idea I would always be alone because I thought who would want to be with a singer? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I hear you.
I was kind of right. It was fixed in my
Mm-hmm.
head, and Kelly just fell into my lap. He really did. So I'll just tell you really fast the story because it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
So I was at Sushi A Go Go.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Sushi A Go Go? Across from the Met. And I was sitting with my dear friend Steve Blyer. We have our little sushi date, and I had gotten into the Met program, but I didn't get into JOC, Juilliard's Opera Center. But Kelly did. So I said to Steve, I go, who got into JOC? Who's Kelly Markgraf? And he walked in. He walked in. I just said his name for the first time, never said his name before. He walked right in, walked right to our table, and he goes, Sasha? I was like, Kelly? He was like, congratulations on the New York Times. I saw your review on the Juilliard board. I'm like, oh yeah, we were just talking about you. And by the time he had gotten there, Steve was just like, oh, he's a beautiful person. He sits down on his way out. He kisses me my cheek on the way out, which I'm like, that's forward. And he sent flowers to my house. He sent flowers to my house. I know. And they
Is
were
that a good thing? Bad thing?
well, okay, so okay, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. So because he wrote me on Facebook saying something like, can't seem to forget your smile. Could we have coffee sometime? And I was like, oh, it's really busy right now. Not so good. And he was like, just like 30 minutes. And I was like, no, I'm actually in 3 shows at the Met because I'm doing Sandman and Iphigenie and Manon Lescaut. My parents are coming. I don't have any time. And he was like, well, if we don't do it now, it'll have to be in February because I'm going to do a show in Minnesota. I'm like, okay, see you in February. And he sent flowers to my house. And I was living with my sister, and she was like, I remember she liked him from the minute I read the Facebook message. She's like, he's got balls. I like him. But I had this sounds very fancy, Kiki. This is not my normal life. But that day I was flying to Chicago to see Dr. Atomic because the Met wanted me to see the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on my plane, and as my sister said, she's like, go get on your plane, don't worry about it. So I go to my show, I see Jerry Finley, we're having drinks. I get a text from Kelly or a message on Facebook saying, did you receive anything? Do you have a roommate? Did a package arrive? And I was just kind of avoiding it. Next day, I'm in the Chicago Art Institute, one of my favorite museums, and I messaged him, again, shy girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I feel like meeting a new person is like art. It's better in person.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I know what you mean, but we can talk a little bit. I was like, okay. And my flight's delayed. I finally get home to New York. I call him up. We talked for 5 hours. And the first thing I said was, I have a confession. I got your flowers. Thank you. But as a previously, big girl, like I have I just went right there. I went right there. I told him, I said, I just came out of a weird relationship and It was very forward. And I mean, we never talked about music. We were just immediately best friends. Talked for a month. He was in Minnesota doing a show. And he became my soulmate like instantly. And when he flew back to New York, we were dorky again. Like we were just, it was one of those things. I would love to hear your story too, because like, it feels like God said, Sasha, I see you. Don't worry. I'm going to send someone to you. And my first daughter was the same. She was a surprise. I was not ready to have a daughter yet. I was not ready to have a baby. It was our first year of our anniversary. We went back to Hawaii where we got married. Sure enough, got pregnant. I was in San Francisco. I had a lesson with Cesar, and I was like, let's do this pregnancy test. Do you know Arlequin in San Francisco?
Yes. The sandwich place, the salads and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's right in my pregnancy test. Because I'm like, I'm sure I'm negative. I'm sure I'm telling you everything. I'm telling you everything. You asked. I'm sure I'm negative. Positive.
In that big ass bathroom that's like the handicapped bathroom. So you're in there pacing back and forth because the bathroom is huge, right?
I love this. I started crying. I called Kelly. He's like, well, this is happy. I was like, I was just like, what's a little kid going to do with two singer parents? What? He was like, well, it's not exactly like we weren't trying. And then he said, go have your voice lesson. Don't worry about it. I had a great voice lesson, actually. I remember I was so, because Cesar was awesome, but, and then she was one of the greatest joys of my life. And I had a very difficult miscarriage after that, which was a roller coaster. I had a show in San Francisco covering Susan Graham and singing her sister and doing Misa Solemnis at the orchestra.
Wow.
It was an intense week, and my voice was a mess because I had gone through this miscarriage. And again, this is something I'm okay talking about because I feel like people don't talk openly about how hard it is because we all feel shame when we go through difficult things. But I was doing a Verdi Requiem. I probably got sick from Amber Wagner, who had a cold. I got on a plane to Australia to do Mahler 3. Started to get sick, and when you're pregnant, you can't take a lot of things.
Right.
So I was barely taking any medicine. I was the most awful thing. And sure enough, on the way back from Australia, the process was starting to happen, and I lost that pregnancy, and had to sing to pay the bills. And I didn't really get the time to heal and mourn and just be in a low spot. And that was one of my lowest points, like in the last 10 years, probably the lowest, just because I've never had that relationship with music where it was work. It was work. And I was not in the right place in my throat because I had gotten sick and sung on it. And I was just not in the right place. And, relationships are hard. I would not say to any singer that's going into this, because I think it does take a very patient spouse. It does not mean they need to be a musician. They don't need to get it, but they have to be a patient spouse. And kids too. Like, I feel like if my kids were different, if they had special needs or if they had problems, and I always say to myself, if something comes up, they're first. So if I need to cancel a contract because something's going on, that's my motto. Like, you take one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. Right. And I'm really big on my schedule. I watch my schedule very carefully. How much I'm gone, how much I'm home, what matters, and not letting the career take over, and not doing what everyone says. Let's get you to really listen to yourself. So I try to check in and say, what do I need to do? When do I need to rest? When do I need to be with my people?
Right. It's important. We have to feed ourselves. And you got some mamas, some ladies on here.
Aww.
Yeah, we need to and Marsha put your I don't know if it's public, right? I think it is. She has a page for
really?
Lady Opera. Hello, Penny, the lady. Oh. Now, Penny, hi, Penny. Say hello to Sasha.
She's pretty.
She's gorgeous. She's a beautiful. And this is Afton. Like, she only comes for like the late, but she must have heard the ladies. Afton's voice. She loves Afton's voice. So every time I'm on a Zoom or call with Acton.
She
She
knows.
was up, but we're talking about girl stuff, so I guess she wanted to come and talk about it. She's like, "Yeah, I'm a mama."
Oh,
Latanya, yeah.
Latanya.
I didn't know that, Latanya. Yes, yes. People need to
Oh,
hear
thank you for
it.
saying that. We should talk
Yeah,
about that sometime, Latanya. I would love to.
absolutely, absolutely. Maybe we could do a panel talk on combos or.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about sharing more about mom stuff because a couple people have come up to me and said, oh, okay, see, I see, it's not
Yeah,
public.
oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. It's not public, but yeah, yeah.
I think
Got
a lot of women and a lot of men too, like people want to know, how do you do it? How do you manage both? And I always think about the fact that a woman or anybody, we are a human being with human limitations and a certain amount of energy. So
Mm-hmm.
if I need to give energy to sing, but I also need to give energy to be a mom,
Mm-hmm.
I have to kind of watch that threshold and how much I can handle. And do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always in support of my my friends. I remember going to hear Latanya sing in
Ah,
Latanya sing in London, and she had her two kids, and she was had a. I don't know if you remember that. Latanya, you of course you remember that. You know, she I
yes,
think you had a
no.
performance, and you had been up all night, and she sang one of the most stunning aidas,
Oh,
and
I remember her Aida in London.
yeah, it was it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it was ENO. Marnie was going on at the same time, right, Latanya? I
yes.
think so. Yes.
Yes, and so she was like, I haven't slept 2 hours, and so I was like, well, if you need me to watch the kids while you sleep, I remember. I don't know if she even remembered that conversation, but I was like, but again, like me being a singer, but not a mom, I totally, but a wife. But a
Yes.
wife who's very
Yes.
dedicated to it. I understand, the not being away for a certain amount of time, and really, you have to
Mm-hmm.
support that relationship, that marriage as well is extremely. And I married my best friend. I married again, speaking of the man who loved me at every size when I'm heavier than what I am. And she's losing weight. So FYI, the COVID weight is coming off. So that's why
How are
she's
you doing it? How are you doing it?
girl. Working out. My cousin's a trainer, so I've been working out with my cousin a little bit, and just being more cognizant and snack. I don't like bad. Like I love good food, but I don't eat a lot of junk food. But it's the snacking. Like the snacking is like 2,000 extra calories just taking
Oh,
things in. So really being intentional, like thinking about, okay, why am I eating that right now? And
that's inspiring because the last time you and I talked, we were talking about weight also because
mhm,
that's it's been hard. And I think, there's unconscious eating because I'm like you. Like sometimes I'll eat and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like it's just
mhm,
around me or, someone else is eating. So I'm like, okay, I'll eat. It's like, no, it's not really needed. And
mhm,
I miss that about singing because with singing and jobs, there's some structure, so you're like, okay, I need
mhm,
lunch now. It's not like, you know,
mhm.
amorphous.
Yeah, it's true. And like, I was walking the other day in the neighborhood, and I was like, why weren't you doing this time last year? Like, if you were doing this time last year, but just mentally and emotionally, I was not in a space.
Yeah.
I was not in a space to do that. And I really had a conversation with myself. At the same time, I was like, why didn't you do this last year? You wouldn't have gained those like 40, 50 pounds. But also I was thinking you weren't there, and that's okay too.
Isn't that true though? Like we were in a different space. And I love this phrase someone said to me, give yourself grace. Like this is not a normal time, so why would you expect normal circumstances?
Yeah.
You know,
Until
I
you watch that first virtual offer, you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, where did it all go wrong?" Woo, child, Anyway, I didn't mean to.
I'm so sorry, Latanya, though. I'm just sending you a big hug right now. I can't even imagine that. That's
Yeah,
so awful because I remember I was going to rehearsal. She
yeah,
does.
yeah. I try to do my best. Yep.
I actually told San Francisco Opera I was really struggling, and I just told them. I said, "Hey guys," and they were awesome. They were supportive. They're like, "Whatever you need. If you need to go to the doctor." Um, I yeah. It was just very difficult. It was very difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, I think what helps with this is just knowing you're not alone. Like I feel like that's been the theme for me of the pandemic because
Mm-hmm.
in a way we all feel very alone because we're like, I lost my jobs, I'm not seeing folks, I'm not in the
Mm-hmm.
show, but none of us are alone in that feeling, and I think with miscarriage, you feel like you did it. Like I remember I was
Mm-hmm.
in that first trimester, I was in 13 cities. Like I was just way too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought, I did this. I did this. This is my fault. Of course it wasn't. I could have been sitting in a hammock and the same thing would have happened, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And it woke me up though. It made me realize what I had. And I feel like the pandemic's been good for that too. Don't you feel, Kiki, like clarity,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I do, and I I oftentimes want to ask my non-melanated colleagues about what this time meant for them because yes, we are all in the pandemic and the effects of COVID, but after the murder of Mr. Floyd, when everything just kind of got flipped over its head and people were scrambling and all the conversations, and then now we are 15 months into
Mhm.
all this stuff, and I'm curious. But you've been having your conversations consistently through the period. But as we talk about things changing, right, and things happening. Listen, I often say when I do conversations, I will not be the same artist that I was pre-pandemic. I can't. It's not even possible to make music the same way, to do business the same way, to be a creative in the way, if you've been paying attention, if you've been in the trenches. So I would love to know how you've been able to thrive in this period, how you've been able to sit back also and watch and listen to some of these conversations and some of the power shifting and,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say sharing, I will say shifting is
Yeah.
the better word.
I'm just mad it didn't happen sooner. I think I feel that feeling of that. I know people don't want to talk about white guilt or shame, but that's there a little bit. It's like it's about time, and we all knew that. And I'm glad it's messy. I'm glad that it's uncomfortable, and we're having the conversations. I think is a long way to go.
Mhm.
I think the expense and the niche and the arrogance around classical music, we have to work on that a lot. I think
Mhm.
that is going to be difficult for us because America, especially America, doesn't support the arts as it should in the way it should. At the same time, I feel like a lot of places have like led it, like they've just taken the bull by the horns and they're saying, absolutely, we are behind this. We are making this a priority. You are going to see this as a priority.
Mhm.
And not everybody, but I feel like some really, really are. And I'm really grateful for that. I think it makes a huge difference. I've talked about this organization I liked years ago
Mhm.
because they are always diverse in every way. I've seen transgender people on stage,
Mhm.
handicapped people on stage, gay couples. I mean, at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Mhm.
Years,
Yeah.
like, years ago, I discovered them. And it's like that phrase, representation. Thank you, wine. Representation matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you and I talked about this a little bit when we spoke the idea of what roles you can and can't do, and even me, what roles I can and can't do. And I just want us to like blow that whole thing up. I
Yeah.
don't want people to say, Otello. I don't want people to talk about, I want everyone to do everything.
Mhm.
And and yes, I think we should be conscious. I think we should seek out diversity because we need to think about the next generation. I
Mhm.
was watching oh, my kid turned on, oh, it's some teeny bopper movie where there's like magic. Everyone was white. Everyone was white. And I now like I'll call it out all the time.
Practical Magic. Was it Practical Magic?
It's like starts with D, guys. It's like it's this like they're kind of bad and they there's a castle and Kristen Chenoweth is in it. The
Somebody let me know.
Someone will know. Someone will say. But and Harry Potter, like for freak's sake, what does the black population think about Harry Potter? Like we're reading it, and I love Harry Potter. But if I was a black kid watching that movie, I wouldn't feel included. If like there's so many like now, I mean, am I going off too long, Kiki? I don't want
No,
to.
you're fine. Listen, no, this is your time, honey. Take it.
Well, I just like I feel really sensitive to be, and like you said, non-melanated person talking about this subject because in general, I feel like white folks just need to listen. We need to listen, absorb, educate, share, and protect and defend. That's what we need to be doing. I don't want to be over talking. I don't want to be like this loud, obnoxious.
But I asked you. No, I asked you because I want to know. I want to know. It's important. Today I won't. I'm not going to go here. But there was a conversation that was very triggering to me,
Really?
and I was like, I ran. I ran because I was like, you know what? Because I was the only person of color in that space, and I was like, I'm tired of teaching.
Absolutely.
But again, I'm not gonna go there because whatever. But again, I fled.
All I can hope is that what you're doing and what is happening will help the next generation,
Yes, and it is
Descendants. That was the movie, The Descendants.
Descendant. Okay.
Which is, it's just like it's a thing. But why, if you're gonna have 4 main kids, why would they all be white? Like, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. When I was having a girl, I remember getting into this called Misrepresentation. It's a documentary about statistics in media. Women already are a small percentage in movies, but also women under 40 are 95%. So if you're over 40, you don't exist on television.
Right.
What? So I think it's the same thing, like talking about miscarriage, talking about aging, talking about. So, but to the piece about race and opera, and I want to help in any way I can. I want to know where I can be an ally. I want to keep the conversation going, keep people accountable.
Be an accomplice, not an ally.
Yeah, accomplice.
Because we got to get shit done. We got to get together and be like, let's see how we.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really what it is. That's the energy.
Well, I talked to Nicole Heaston right before George Floyd happened, and then of course everything shifted so dramatically, but it was already a huge problem. And like Nicole and I, it was interesting because I look back in that chat, like this. It was there before. Like we've been talking about this for a long time, but not doing anything.
Yeah. Talking around it or.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I'm still alone in the room though. That makes me sad that they're triggering things you can't say. Hold up, because frankly, in that moment, you would hope that someone who's not Black would say, "Wait a second." Like I remember, I can't remember if I told you this story that I'd heard about a lighter skinned woman following in line behind her darker skinned cousin. And her cousin was like asked for 2 forms of ID. And sorry, she went first in line. She said to the person in the teller, she's like, "You didn't ask me for 2 forms of ID." And there was a 10-year-old daughter like watching all of this, like her mother being harassed by this person trying to check out with a check. It's like that's what it's about. It's just speaking up for the person who does not feel not making the person, just like you said, how you feel tired having to educate. And when you brought up the subject, immediately I thought, well, I'm grateful for you to bring it up, because I don't want to tire my Black colleagues or Black friends anymore.
Or Asian or Middle Eastern, shout out to them, or or anyone else who is oftentimes othered.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that someone asked me in the industry about how do they advocate, what is the best way. I said, when you can't do something, you put somebody else's name in a room. You put somebody else's name in the again, the idea of singers who are managed, and the idea that that if you don't have someone speaking for you, the rosters are not diverse in many ways, and like all of these things. But it is also a part of like you mentioning someone's name and to a conductor. Fuck the management, like all that kind of stuff. Like you have the connection with the conductor, and you say, hey, I have this singer, this friend or whatever, when you are in spaces where you can use your power, where you
Right.
can use your what you not even your what you have built,
Yeah.
what you've built in this time is powerful, it's strong. Your voice, you can bring people into a space and you can change lives because of what you built. You don't need all these other extra administrators and things. We can do that. We can do that. And then when you're in the space and you sing your ass off for a conductor, you do a great job, and then the other people come on board. But we as artists, we have that. We can affect change in our circles.
I love that. So true. I was sitting with two Black colleagues in a Verdi Requiem in Cleveland, and we were talking about Larry Brownlee's cycle. That I was like, I wish I could do something like that. Like I could move the conversation forward, but I'm a white woman. And they were like, you can. You can hire Black people to do it. And I was like, you're right. I don't have to be singing. I can pay for it. I can like produce something that puts it on. So I've commissioned a bunch of music from Black composers. Like, why not? Like, it was a funny moment where I was thinking, I'm this boring heterosexual mom who's white, and they were like, that doesn't mean you can't help make things happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Act that, and that's what that also is a part of activism and advocacy. That is it. That is exactly what that is. So we got all heavy and we got all, and as we're closing up, because I done kept you for an hour and a half from your family, hour and 20 minutes from your family. What's in the future for you, Sasha?
Aw. Well, I'm going back to the Met. I haven't sung in the Met in 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's very meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to do a performance of Hansel there this season, which was canceled. I'm doing a premiere at Dallas Opera, which I'm really excited about. And a lot of orchestras. I have a lot of orchestral stuff coming up this next season. Making my debut at Teatro Divine coming up. And there are a couple things. I mean, as a concert singer, I mean, you probably feel this way too. A lot of stuff does not happen as far out as it does for opera singers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I feel grateful to have work. I feel grateful for this summer to have, frankly, finally a vocal thing to work on. I do so much contemporary music and so much intellectual stuff. Mm-hmm. I so rarely get to do singing. And I get to this summer in New York. You guys can come. We're going to have a live stream at the end of July. It's called King Arthur. It's a bard. They are having a socially distanced audience. So I'm going to feel so grateful just to be in a room with humans making the show. I haven't been a romantic lead in a little while. I've gotten to play a boy in the last couple of years, but I haven't gotten to be a romantic role. So I'm looking forward to that. And honestly, I'm just, when you said, what are you looking forward to? I just thought of all these kid things, like my daughter's in a show this weekend.
Oh, nice.
She's playing cello in a quartet. It's so cute. Next weekend.
Oh.
And my other daughter is like in a dress every day. She is going to be a firecracker. I don't know what she's going to do. So I just feel grateful we've had time. We've had time together. That's one thing that I will never regret about the pandemic is all of these moments.
Being together, exactly. Yeah, you can't, like my husband, I was just like, oh God, we've been together so every night we've been going to bed together, every morning waking up, like you take for granted, you're like, that just doesn't happen in a busy season where you are like constantly on the road, And the pets, they said that the pets are going to go through depression.
Oh, that's right.
Normal. Exactly. So you just never know what they're gonna. No one's home anymore. Especially the dogs. The cats are like, get out of here. And you're too damn loud anyway.
What about you? What's next? When am I going to see you next?
Oh my goodness. Let's see what's next for me. What is this? June. I'm doing a next week. I'm doing a virtual thing for Teatro Graticello. And as far as performance, July is really because I do my Banff things, and we're finishing our last module for Banff where I'm helping
Amazing.
some young singers. And singing wise, I have 2 recitals in September,
Really?
literally back to back, literally like first half of the weekend. One is in Tennessee and the other one is in Florida, the end of the week. And then as far as opera, I'm doing the world premiere of A Snowy Day, the children's book in Houston, my
I'm
debut in
coming.
Houston.
Yeah, Joel Thompson actually is one of the composers I commissioned, and he wrote an amazing song about gun violence in schools. With text that
Wow.
she share, I have to share it with you. It's called "Still Waiting." It's really beautiful.
Please.
I can't wait for Snowy Day. I'm glad that it got rebooked.
Yes, I am too, because it is the opera. It is the holiday opera. Like we love them all. We're gonna put them all right over here, and like the Magic Flute Children's version, we're gonna put that over there. Like Snowy Day is the opera that every opera company should do every year because the tunes are gorgeous, and there's a snowball fight, and Mama has a beautiful aria, and it's fantastic. It's a fantastic little piece, and I'm just so excited. Then of course I have more concerts, and I eat it next year or whatever. But like I'm so excited about Snowy Day, and then I'll be in Houston for 5 weeks, so we'll get to.
Yeah. When do you come? What day? What's your
I
first?
think it's in like October.
Amazing. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
oh my gosh, that's like tomorrow.
Literally, it literally is like I think it's October, November. Anyway, but it's like tomorrow
We can do a Dead Man Walking. I'm gonna start working on that.
You know what? I have retired Rose, but I will come out for you, girl.
You said here. You guys heard.
Oh God, yeah. I've done it seven productions of it, and I think I hold the record. But like,
oh my God,
I retired her, but I'll come out and dust the He Will gather us around for you. Oh my God, Sasha Cooke. Oh, you are a dream. And we have to come back. We got to do our panel, for sure.
Let's do that. I would love it.
Absolutely, definitely. And thank you all don't go anywhere, Sasha. Thank you all for tuning in. Next week, I have a wonderful collaborative pianist next week that's coming on. I won't say who it is yet because we always wait till next week to announce. But she just got a new appointment at a really, really important opera house. So
it is.
So she'll be on next week, but yes, they're giving you love. You got to go back.
She could be on the panel too.
Yeah.
And Latanya, we'll get Latanya on there.
Oh yeah, well Latanya hasn't had her official convos, her solo, so she has to come on too. I got to find the perfect time for my queens, to come on. But yes, thank you so much, you guys. Yes, Mimi, it's so good to see you.
Meredith, oh my God, miss you.
Jim, I love you, Jim. And I did not put the comment that Ben Newman made about your husband up here. You can go back and read it.
Oh, I'll look.
Yes, well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Alvin, and that invitation still stands. But I'll see y'all all next week. I love you as always. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Wear your mask or not. Stay away from people. Don't kiss strangers. All that good stuff. All right. Bye.